This is the Sloan podcast. I'm Tyler. I'm joined here by my twin brother, Tanner.
That's me, Tanner, as they call me in these parts.
So, this is the first one. I thought of what better topic to jump into than Bigfoot.
Sasquatch, as they're known around here
Yeah.
in this house.
Or the Yeti or the skunk ape. Whatever you call him. We call him Bigfoot. He's really tall and really stinky. And he strikes fear into the hearts of men. I've never seen one. Have you?
We caught something. Do you remember we had that old video camera and we caught something weird? It could have just been a bear.
Yeah, it was back when you used to film on tape. We had a little tape recorder.
And then I recorded over the tape by accident, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So we might have had a Bigfoot, but no, we don't.
So I wanted to describe Bigfoot a little bit so we know what we're getting into. You know, he's a 10-foot tall, stinky monkey man that runs around. Super elusive. Nobody can catch him. Every picture of him is blurry.
I heard a comedian say that maybe it's not our camera's malfunctioning. Maybe Bigfoot's just blurry in real life. Maybe he's just walking around all blurry and stuff.
Yeah, he could be. That would be hilarious if they catch him and he's just a big blur.
So, I think that there's too much evidence. There's stuff like Mothman that's ridiculous. And people, there might be 12 people who've seen Mothman. But with Bigfoot, there's just too many. Not everyone is making this up. And if there's only one sighting that's true, that's real, then that means Bigfoot's out there. And that's all it takes.
Yeah, there are a lot of sightings. And some of the stories, I mean, people do make shit up, but some of the stories are fucking terrifying. Like, he's shaking the house, or he's trying to break the door down, or he almost got you, you know?
And a lot of those stories, it's not necessarily that Bigfoot is being violent, but they are territorial. They don't want you around. They make their presence known without necessarily letting you see them. A lot of the stories are more so Bigfoot's like trying to run you out of the area.
It's just stuff like this these days makes me a little suspicious because there's two arguments to it. One is that, like, everyone has a video camera in their pocket now. Their cell phone. But, if you actually were in the situation where you saw a Bigfoot, wouldn't you just get the fuck out? Like, how terrifying would it be? Would you even have a good camera angle? When you're in that moment, imagine there's a 10-foot beast in front of you, and he looks a little bit too human. And, I don't like animals. I don't even like horses. I don't like animals that are bigger than me. So if I saw a 10-foot monkey man and he was super stinky, I'd get the fuck out soon, dude.
I've heard people's accounts of spending all this money on equipment, setting everything up, actually having an encounter, and they just like ran out of the woods, left all their equipment there, and stuff like that's believable. That's what I would do. But these people were set up. They're like, we are going to catch this thing. We're putting ourselves out there. And then when it comes down to it, like, are you really going to stand around and film it? Or are you going to get the hell out?
Exactly. Just the imagery of him ripping you from limb, like, I would get the fuck out before I found out.
Yeah.
So, my opinion of the thing is, I know people make shit up, but at the same time, I know of an extinct animal called Gigantopithecus. He was a 10-foot tall monkey. I took some notes somewhere, but he
you'll notice most of the animals that went extinct, it's because they were too big in size and they required it took more to keep them alive. They needed more to sustain themselves. They needed more animals. And so eventually all these animals got smaller and smaller. There used to be a huge sloth. There used to be all these, and so it makes sense that there was a huge ass monkey, and there could still be, but that thing was supposed to go extinct. It might not have.
So the thing about Gigantopithecus is that he fits the bill. He's a 10-foot tall, stinky monkey man that runs around the woods, and he only went extinct about 10,000 years ago, which, I don't think that's too long. So the point is he could still be running around. Gorillas were discovered in 1850, which is only 170 years ago. So that's kind of a medium-sized monkey man.
Right.
So, I mean, it's possible that there's something like that out there running around that we can't catch.
Well, and the difference is, like, pandas also were just discovered not too long ago, I think by, like, Teddy Roosevelt. They're on a hunting trip.
Oh, yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. And pandas are so stupid. They just they have no brains. They just literally sit there, and it still took us forever to find them. So think about this giant monkey that's really smart, that's been surviving for, thousands of years in the woods, and it starts to make sense why we haven't, necessarily seen one just walk up in a city or something, because they're smart.
Have you ever met anyone that has had a Bigfoot encounter?
Man, I usually ask more about UFOs. I don't think I've ever asked someone if they've seen Bigfoot. No, I can't think of one right now.
I had one guy. I was at an open mic, and this guy tells me that he saw Bigfoot, and I started laughing in his face because I thought he was joking, but he was serious, and he said it was traumatizing. He said he was a little boy just running through the woods like we do, and he said he saw this thing crouched over.
Oh, God.
And he realized what it was, and, I mean, there's videos of him on the news and shit talking about it. Like, it's apparently a big story. Wow. And I wish I knew his name. I wish I had gotten his number because I would love to, like, talk to him about it. But, that was local. That was up here in North Georgia. So we actually pulled up a map before we recorded this, and apparently North Georgia is a hot spot.
All up into Tennessee, the North Georgia mountains. You see the pinpoints of all these sightings, and it's just a bed of Sasquatches.
Yeah.
Just all over North Georgia. So,
every time
we might see one day.
Yeah. Every time Tanner leaves my house at night, because I'm in the woods, he says he's afraid a Sasquatch is gonna get him. But maybe he should be afraid of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, one thing I thought that would be interesting to look up before we did this was, when was the first Bigfoot sighting? And we found out that it was in 1846. They found a footprint that was 22 inches long.
And there's probably been, like the Native Americans have had stories about Sasquatch forever. I think that's where the term Sasquatch comes from, is from them. And this is the first, like, documented report in America, and I'm sure there's been multiple reports before then, but yeah, it was a footprint, and so it wasn't an actual sighting, but still. Back then they weren't making those, because people are hoaxing them.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, people are making fake footprints out of wood planks and stuff, but back then they weren't doing that. They were still finding them.
Yeah, if Bigfoot wasn't popular, like, why would anyone hoax it, They could have, but still, it just seems unlikely. So, put yourself in the position. You're in the middle of the woods camping. Maybe you went a little too far. And you see a 10-foot tall beast, the Bigfoot. What would you do?
Me?
How would you feel?
Oh. Dude, I get scared if I hear some kind of weird bird I haven't heard before, like a. It's like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
That's the habalapa bird. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. I'm a scaredy cat anyway, though. It doesn't take much. I don't go into the woods. There's freaking bears out there, dude.
Yeah.
Why do people go hiking, especially by yourself? Like, oh, isn't this so beautiful? No, it's fucking not, because I think I'm gonna die right now.
I got my friend Jacob. I got him a lot of hiking gear one year for his birthday or Christmas or something. And inside there was a bell that's supposed to scare bears away. And he called it the dinner bell.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't go in the woods for the same reason because, dude, by the time you come face to face with a fucking hungry bear, it's a little too late to learn that lesson. Because that thing's going to eat your face.
I'm scared of a dog if it goes, like, past my ankles.
Yeah. If that happened to me, I would probably have a heart attack and just fall right over. I'd probably die instantly. I heard a story where this guy was out in the woods and he saw Bigfoot or whatever, and he was like 2 or 3 miles away from his car, and he's like backing away trying to like make sure that it's not gonna, sneak out and grab him. And he said it followed him all the way to his fucking car.
Yeah.
Throwing rocks and making noises and shit. I mean, just thinking that you're about to die any second. Like, I mean, there are those stories, those aggressive Bigfoot stories. And
well, I wonder, like, when you ask people about Bigfoot and they're like, oh, that's fake. They just totally discount it. And to discount it, you would have to be saying that all of these thousands of people are just making this story up. Some of them, like, they're on these documentaries. Their friends have made fun of them their whole life. But they're doing it because they don't want to be, a Bigfoot witness.
Yeah.
So for you to just say, oh, Bigfoot doesn't exist, that's just a story. It's like, that would have to be thousands of people just lying, and I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's plausible. And that professor, Jeffrey Meldrum?
Okay, no.
He is a primate expert. And so he's the one that has studied, like, the actual cast and stuff. And I've seen him point out on the toes and stuff. Like, you can see the actual, like, the prints. You can't fake prints.
Yeah.
And he's like, this by itself should be enough to tell scientists that this is real.
Yeah.
You can't fake it.
Yeah, and maybe it is a fact of maybe they hang out in dense woods that aren't populated. Maybe they are really smart and they just know how to hide. Maybe they're climbing the trees. Maybe we're walking past them all the time and we just don't see them. Maybe they're like, who knows?
And you've heard of like the structures that they find in the woods of these bent trees that kind of look like it's a shelter. They're making a shelter. And
super creepy. If you saw one of those, you'd get the fuck out.
Yeah, and so there's been multiple reports of that. People say, why haven't you found any bodies? Where are the bodies? You would find a skeleton or something. Well, we don't know how smart they are. I mean, this is going way out there, but they could quite literally be burying the dead. We don't know that.
True. No, you're right. They could be totally doing that. Or they could be eating them. Depends on how civilized they are.
There'd be bones, I guess. But like you were talking about, the woods are so dense where they populate. And by the way, I kind of think that at one point early humans could have been living alongside them. And the more advanced we get, the more violent we get. We kind of drove them to the secluded parts.
Yeah, maybe they're scared of us.
Yeah. So there are so many places in America that we just haven't gone. because you can't really get there.
That's true, and that's something people don't think about. But I have heard that there are still places that are so densely, covered in trees that it's almost impossible to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's kind of where they live, then they're pretty much, they might as well be on the moon. Like, we can't get to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, I've heard so many stories. You can tell when someone's full of shit. For the most part, you just can. Either they change their story over time, or they're like, Bigfoots, you've heard, haven't you? They can imitate any noise. One time, you remember Joe Rogan talking about, it was someone who was like, I heard ribbit, ribbit. And I was like, that's a Sasquatch. It's like, no, bitch, maybe that was just a fucking frog. Like, so there are people that are full of shit, dude. Bigfoot can imitate any. No, see, no, maybe it's just a frog.
That shit's funny.
So there are definitely people who are full of shit and just trying to get attention.
Oh, for sure.
But also there are people who are completely believable.
Yeah, like you said, there's people that don't want to be a Bigfoot witness. They just saw one and they're trying to say, "Hey, I saw something."
Yeah.
What's a Bigfoot story you've heard?
It's a lot of these stories. It's like they just built their house. They love the country life or the mountain life or whatever, and they just built their house. No one around. I think if it's like a community of people, then it'd be different. But a lot of these stories are like it could have been a Sasquatch place of sanctuary or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you come in, you build your house, you piss them off. You're there, they don't like it, and then they make a point for you to know that they don't want you there.
Yeah.
So
like you're in our spot.
I've heard stories like that. Stories of people going out and looking for them. There are some sound clips I've heard that are like, what the heck is that?
That's true.
But I'm trying to think of like a real video. I don't know if I've seen like a real video
where there's the classic film of him swinging his arms, walking through the
Patterson footage.
Yeah, and that's proven to be fake, right?
Well, also, like Joe Rogan said, the guy who filmed that, he like wrote a fake check to buy the camera that the Patterson footage was filmed on. So he was obviously a con man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
but that footage looks good.
It did look good. And especially back then, the amount of money that it would take to manufacture a suit like that.
True.
It's unbelievable in both senses. It's unbelievable that they went out looking for one and they got the best footage of one. It's also unbelievable that they could have faked it.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they went looking for it.
They did go looking for it.
Oh, really?
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or were they just they were horseback riding?
I feel like they were horseback riding and they just saw it. Maybe.
Okay.
But I just feel like I saw a breakdown video one time where they were showing like the parts of the Bigfoot, just the muscle structure and things, and it just, when you think about that, it seems like that footage was impossible to fake, but it also probably wasn't a $10 gorilla costume we think of these days in Party City. Like, they don't make shit like they used to. So maybe it was.
And I'll agree. Like, let's say you're from a small town, and let's say your neighbors see one, and they could have really seen one. And then what are you doing? You're out there. You're gonna be looking for one now because you think there's one around. And so then you could mistake. Oh, you see a bear. Oh, that's the Bigfoot my neighbor saw. And then it just grows and grows, and shit like that can happen. Like, sort of mass hysteria.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But, also, you've got to take it seriously when there's a hot spot. There's just this little small town that, all these people have seen the same thing. And by the way, they are describing the same thing. you know, all these stories I've heard, it's like one of the things. Apparently, you can smell them. It can be completely
Ugh.
dark. It can be completely dark. You can't see anything, and you just get this like musky, just
Wet dog,
yeah.
rotten smell.
And if it's a big stinky gorilla, you know, they haven't bathed their whole life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, you are gonna smell it, and that makes sense. And then the throwing rocks. What animal can throw a rock?
True.
All these people say that they get stuff thrown at them.
Yeah.
And then I feel like stuff like banging sticks against trees
Yeah.
could be how they communicate. What animal can do that?
Or maybe that's a territorial get the fuck out of here kind of like a snake's rattle.
Yeah.
Like it's like banging like you know, I'm hitting this tree but next I'm going to hit your ass.
Yeah. There's just so many stories of that. Like there's no animals that can do that. They don't have opposable thumbs. So there are very specific signatures that all these people report, and I think that's interesting.
I tried to look up more Bigfoot stats. It's actually hard to find. I wanted to know like how many sightings in America at least every year. I couldn't really find that, but I know that there's thousands and thousands. I mean, if you look at that map, there's just so many. So, you know, of course, some people are probably seeing bears. You know, that's probably mostly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the mass sightings in a small town,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, at least throw, you know, there are people that say like every night Bigfoot comes and visits. Like put up a trail cam. Like they're pretty inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was a researcher, just animals in general, what the fuck ever, I would put up trail cams just to see what the fuck was around. I mean, what if you never know? Fucking Bigfoot could walk right past and scratch his ass. I mean, you know, I would go into the most densely, like, I guess you can't really fly helicopter. That's the problem where these Bigfoots probably are. Like, people can't get in there. They can't land a helicopter. They can't.
And if there was the funding, though, I mean, think about it.
No one's gonna fund that.
Just
shit.
like people looking for ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
There could be things in the Amazon that we have not discovered yet, and there definitely are. I think it's all about the funding. It's about who is going to put into place a program that can really survey this area and do it the right way. It costs probably $1 million, and so that's ancient civilizations. That's our history. And then you talk about like this Bigfoot that a lot of people don't think exists, trying to get enough funding for that. I think if there really was a big effort, then we'd probably find some shit.
We could find something. If nothing else, we might find some other thing that we're not looking for. But
Yeah.
what if Bigfoot is an ancestor, a distant human? What if he's like a Neanderthal or something?
Yeah.
Like, so I heard a Bigfoot story on TV I wanted to share with you. So this guy, which it sounds like a bullshit story, but when you see the interview, the guy's like, looks like he's telling the truth. Like he looks fucked up. He looks like he's seen some shit. He tells a story about how he saw a Bigfoot and he's out hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bigfoot has like a baby Bigfoot with it. Like a child, like a kid.
Wow.
And so he said something like the mama Bigfoot runs off, the baby Bigfoot stays behind, so he shoots the baby Bigfoot for proof. And he's like, I'm going to be famous, I got a Bigfoot, whatever. He runs over to it, and he says he turns it over, and this thing looks so human that he felt like he had just committed murder, so he buries the body and never speaks of it for like 20 years.
Oh my God.
And then he finally just came out like it was eating him alive to tell the story. And he's like, he's just talked about the eyes. He's like, the eyes looked so human.
Wow.
But he's, coming out to say like the same thing all these people say, which is Bigfoot's real. I've fucking seen one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had some experience like that, aliens, Bigfoot, whatever, I wouldn't give a fuck if anyone believed me. I would say, look, believe me or not, I saw one and I know now. And that's the feeling those people have. They're like, I don't care if you believe me, I saw one. So.
Well, and when you think about it, these scientists, the people who are in charge, academia and all this stuff, a lot of them do believe in Darwin. They believe in evolution, but there hasn't been a missing link yet. If you believe in evolution, then you should believe in Bigfoot, because Bigfoot is that missing link.
Yeah.
Like, so what's the holdup? People should be taking it more serious, I think. Because there's not a lot of people seeing the freaking Lucky Charms guy. Oh, did you just see there's not a lot of there's not hot spots of damn what's his name? Lucky Charms, dude. But there are of Bigfoot.
True.
Like, and there's been no missing links, so take it serious maybe. I don't know.
If you bring up Bigfoot to a certain kind of person, they'll laugh. But that kind of person is not going on these hikes. They're not the kind of person that have seen some shit or heard some shit. They never will be. They're just not out there to see it.
You know, Survivor Man. I'm obsessed with Survivor.
What's
Man.
his name?
Les Stroud. And with all of the solo survival he's done in his lifetime, he gets asked all the time, like, well, you have to have had an experience, right? And he said one time he was camping on the edge of this lake, and he said, number one, it was an area where Sasquatches have been reported.
Yeah.
He said he was sitting at the lake, and this huge tree just falls right into the lake. And he's like, well, that's weird because that looks pretty sturdy, but I'm just going to discount it. And he said throughout the night, it happened over and over. And he was like, there's something here, and it's trying to get me out. And he said that's the one time he can say that something was abnormal. He can't put his finger on it, but what else could do that? What else could knock down these? Now, they were big, thin trees. He showed the area, but something was knocking them down.
So, did that lead him to believe in Bigfoot, or was he already a Bigfoot believer?
he had like a few episodes of him looking for Bigfoot. So I think that he does like to entertain the idea, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it does make you think, what could do that? I mean, I don't think an animal without opposable thumbs will just run into a tree until it fell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing about Bigfoot. They kind of stay at a safe distance away. So maybe you don't even have an opportunity to take a photo. Maybe maybe that's why these photos are so blurry, because they're kind of one step ahead of you. Because we got to think, when we're out in the woods, we're kind of in Bigfoot land. Like,
we're not adapted to that area. They're adapted to it.
They have like the home field advantage in that situation. So they know the area. We're in their turf. We're in their backyard. So they're probably 10 steps ahead of us as far as I know where to go to stay ahead of this person, but I'm going to scare him out of here. That seems to be the tactic they use.
Yeah.
And it fucking works.
Yeah, we like to think of ourselves as really smart and capable, but you think about if there was a major disaster and most people on Earth didn't survive it, who would be the ones to survive? The hunter-gatherers, the people who know how to farm, the people who know how to live out on their own. And so we consider ourselves smart and skilled and all this stuff, but Bigfoot's a lot smarter and a lot more skilled when we're in his territory.
Yep. The Bigfoot would definitely survive.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has almost been a full podcast. So I thought a funny way to end it would be to talk about something a little bit silly as far as the Bigfoot topic, which is the connection between Bigfoot and UFOs. Now, I honestly don't know much about this because I feel like it's silly, but it is a thing in the Bigfoot culture that there is allegedly some connection between, they see a UFO and then they have a Bigfoot encounter. So
yeah,
you take it from here, man.
Well,
what do you know?
I mean, I've heard people go as far as saying that that they are like shapeshifters or multidimensional. We don't really know what UFOs are. Are they from space, Are they, from another dimension? We don't know. So that's really what I know is a Bigfoot, multidimensional, and that's why people are having UFO sightings and then Bigfoot sightings. Like, it's odd, but I don't know much about the connection really.
Maybe it's like disappearing. It's coming in and out of reality.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an alien.
Maybe if you're high enough to see a UFO, then you're also high enough to see a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Maybe the Bigfoot is flying the ship. Maybe it's an alien. Maybe it's from another planet, Planet of the Apes. Or maybe the aliens are creating Bigfoots. Maybe they're like some kind of ancient human hybrid thing they got running around. Who fucking knows? I don't personally believe in that. But of all the fucking spooky shit, I think Bigfoot and aliens are two things I can kind of get down with because they make a little more sense and there's a lot of evidence. But at the end of the day, I have to say, I've not seen a Bigfoot. I've not seen a UFO. Unfortunately, I'd probably rather see a UFO than a Bigfoot because if I saw a Bigfoot, I'd freak out.
And out of like the Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, Bat Squatch, all these things that people report, it's like Bigfoot to me is the one that's like, if any of that is real, it's going to be Bigfoot. It has to be Bigfoot.
Yeah. But like I said, I have not seen any of this stuff so far, so I can't say yes or no. But if I'm going to entertain an idea, I think Bigfoot's a fun one. So thank you guys for listening. Hopefully we can come up with a topic for another episode, probably aliens.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'll be a much longer episode or a 20-part series.
Yeah, multi-part.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about with that one, but thank y'all for watching episode 1 of Sloan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, share it with your friends, do whatever you want to do. And hopefully when we watch this back, it doesn't suck and we can do another episode.
I think we did good.
All right. Love y'all. Peace out.